Hey everyone, Nate Carter here with today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. Today I'd like to walk with you through John chapter 11. If you've got a Bible, would you go ahead and open it, because I want to look at several verses along here. Now this is a fairly familiar story. This is when Lazarus has died and Jesus raises him from the dead. And when Jesus finds out that Lazarus has died, we see a similar thing as I talked about a few days ago in chapter 9, where someone's suffering, or in this case their death, is designed by God in order to achieve a purpose that's far beyond our own understanding. And in verse 4, Jesus says, Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God, Jesus, will receive glory from this. And so Jesus prepares to go back to Judea, to where Lazarus is dead and buried. And the disciples say to him, Jesus, how can you possibly think about going back to Judea? Because that's where the Jewish leaders are planning to kill you. And Thomas speaks up. Okay, doubting Thomas speaks up in verse 16. And he says, Thomas, nicknamed the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let's go too and die with Jesus. This was so powerful to me because, in your mind, you never just say Thomas, right? You always say doubting Thomas. In our minds, he's this one-dimensional character who doubted that Jesus had been raised from the dead until he could, put his finger into the nail holes on Jesus's palms. But we see, as is so true in life, that Thomas is so much more than a one-dimensional figure. And clearly, he's a man of great courage who's ready to go to the very ends with Jesus. And then in verse 33, we see something very interesting. We actually, 3 verses I want to look at, verse 33, 35, and 38. And what I want you to see is Jesus's emotional life. This is a rare glimpse into what's going on inside Jesus's heart. Verse 33 says, when Jesus saw the weeping and saw the other people wailing, a deep anger welled up within him. Okay, Jesus is angry, and he was deeply troubled. And then verse 35, then Jesus wept. Right, he weeps at the sight of the knowledge that Lazarus has died. And then in 38, he's going to the tomb to bring Lazarus back to life. And it says Jesus was still angry as he arrived at the tomb. And so we see here 2 verses that indicate Jesus' anger and one indicating his deep grief. And we see here that Jesus is just as emotionally deep and complex as we are. And I think we have this unfortunate view of Jesus, that he's emotionless and that he's somehow above us in his emotional experience. And a lot of the depictions of him are this gentle Jesus, meek and mild. But here we see a Jesus who's just like us in the way that he experiences his emotions. He experiences deep grief. He also experiences deep anger. And I found myself bothered by the fact that he's angry here. And I started to ask myself, why are you so bothered by the fact that Jesus could be angry? Why do you find yourself reaching for the commentaries to try to explain away that maybe Jesus wasn't really angry, or that's a righteous anger, or whatever it is? And I ended up doing just that and found some explanations as to why Jesus was angry. But that's not the point. The point is that Jesus was angry, and he did weep, just like we do. Hebrews 4:15 says, for we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Jesus has experienced the same things that we do in life, in this case, the same emotions, yet in his anger, he doesn't sin. In his grief, he doesn't sin, but he still experiences the same spectrum that we do. And I just found myself having this deep kinship with my Savior Jesus, knowing that he walked this earth and experienced life much the same way that I do and you do too. Praise be to God that we have a high priest who has experienced life in the same way that we have. He knows us. He's fully God and fully man. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.